Hi, welcome back to our series Getting Ready for Shavuot. We find ourselves on the road to Shavuot, and one of the major pit stops on the road is going to be Lag BaOmer. And Lag BaOmer, there are so many different facets to speak about Lag BaOmer. We can speak about Rosh Hashanah Bar Yochai, we can speak about Zohar. I want to concentrate on one area of Lag BaOmer that I think the message is a very simple message. It's a message that we've all heard before. And in my opinion, it's very much a Chappellian message as well. We know that we're in a period of mourning right now, and we haven't been shaving since Pesach, getting a haircut, getting married. And on Lag BaOmer, we're able to take the break from the mourning period and even end the mourning period. And we know the mourning period starts is because of Rabbi Akiva's students. So Rabbi Akiva, the Gemara tells us, had 12,000 pairs of students, 24,000 students. And his students all died in this time period. And the Gemara tells us that they died because Shelo Nagu Kavod Zeh Lazeh. They weren't giving each other honor. Even though they're all learning Torah, and they all were seemingly frum people, but nevertheless, the problem was they weren't giving honor to each other. And I've spoken to this with the Rosh Yeshiva of Chappelle's many times, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Lag BaOmer falls out in the time period that it does, and this depth of Rabbi Akiva fall out in the time period that it does, and even in our own day with all the different issues that are going on in the Orthodox world. There's so much argument going on within the days leading up to Lag BaOmer in the Orthodox world. And I think the message that I'd like to give over is as follows. Shelo Nagu Kavod Zeh Lazeh doesn't mean that everyone has to think the same way. We all know when we learn Torah, we're all approaching the Torah and we're all approaching the Gemara, the Chumash, in a very, very different way. And the truth of the matter is, when it comes to Hashkafa, the same way we can say Elu ve'elu Divrei Elokim Chayim when it comes to Gemara and when it comes to Halacha, so we can also say Elu ve'elu Divrei Elokim Chayim when it comes to Hashkafa. And some people have an idea that shalom, that peace, means that everyone thinks the same way. I was once speaking to someone who came from Nebuch, a very, very dysfunctional family. And I was asking her, she was about to get married and she was a little bit nervous, and I asked her what she felt shalom bayis meant. And she said to me, Rabbi Lerner, shalom bayis, in my opinion, means you go home, it's quiet, it's tranquil, everyone respects each other, it's no fighting. She goes, that's shalom bayis. So I said to her, I goes, well, what you may have just described as not a bayit, maybe a beit hakvarot, a cemetery, but that's not a bayis. A bayis is there's action. A bayis is people disagree with each other. But 10 minutes later, if in a functional home, everyone's friends with each other again. And really, when it comes to hashkafa, we're allowed to have different hashkafas, and we're even allowed to disagree with each other, and we can have arguments l'shem shamayim and hashkafa, and there's so many different opinions. But I think the message of Lag BaOmer is when we stop, and this is really a message that should be for the entire year, is that whatever we feel, and however secure you feel in your own hashkafa, which is a beautiful thing to do, you want to make sure that you're able to be noheg kavod zeh lazeh to somebody else who doesn't have, quote unquote, the same hashkafa. Now, what this has to do with Shavuot, as the Torah tells us, that when we got to Har Sinai, as one unit, b'lei v'chad. And I think that's really the message for us to be able to be ready to be Makabel Torah, is the achdus within Klal Yisrael. And I think the message that we've always given over here in the yeshiva and in Midrash Rachel, and we should be zochen Lag BaOmer to be able to really give kavod zeh lazeh, and with that we'll be ready for our own Matan Torah. Thank you very much.